Dice Tower Tonight, Episode 3.
Preparing for a convention.
Welcome to Dice Tower Tonight, a video cast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On tonight's show, Tom and I play show and tell with a few recent games, talk about how we prepare for conventions, and then take your questions live. I'm Eric Summerer, and here's your host, the Cheaty to my Eleanor, Tom Vassell.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. This is still a work in progress. Today, I'm blaming other people.
Oh, good. Yes. All right. Good.
Well, this is a shared room, and the kids left it a huge mess and hid some of my electronic stuff. Someone's going to die tonight.
Oh, good.
But not yet. So, folks, we're still working on this. If you're listening to this as an audio show, we got a lot of complaints on the audio show. You got to have one or the other. We had people begging us to put this on the audio show, but the quality's just not going to be the same because we're recording it live. And so we're getting there. We're going to work towards it. It's just not going to sound quite as good.
But we are in front of different mics this time. I dragged out one of my old microphones, and Tom, it looks like you're using the same mic you use for the podcast. So hopefully we're tweaking a little bit in that direction.
We are, and I'm still going to be working as time goes by to set this up in a better camera angles so that you can see us both equally. But at least I figured out a trick to see the other person at the bottom of the screen. So there is that. With that being said, here's the plan for tonight. Dice Tower Tonight, we're going to be talking about some games, me and Eric each. We're going to then talk about how we prep for a convention. I don't know, that might be boring. We'll find out. Meanwhile, then we'll answer some questions at the end. If you have questions about anything we're talking about in particular, then we'll answer those as we talk. So if we show a game and you want to talk about that particular game or have a question about that game, that's fine. Other questions, just wait to the end of the show to get started. So, Eric, you go first this time.
Sure. Have you heard about a card game from Looney Labs called Flux? Let me tell you about it.
Wait a minute. This sounds like the same shtick we've done six times
really
before.
does. Well, just to recap, since we haven't done it for the video show, there are a million versions of Flux. It's a card game from Looney Labs. It's about changing rules. You start out with a very simple rule set, draw one, play one, and you're eventually changing those rules, drawing 4 and playing all of them, and trying to get an assortment of cards, keepers, that will help you win once a goal card is on the table. They all have pretty much the same structure. I realized that I hadn't talked about chemistry Flux.
I feel like math is different. I really do. I feel like math is very different than the others.
Well, let's get to math in a second. This is math was one of the first in their sort of educational line of games. And this one also fits under that category because all of the keepers in chemistry Flux are elements. So you've got oxygen and sodium and aluminum, iron. There's a couple of like beakers and test tubes and goggles. It's always good to have goggles. And of course, the combinations of those, the goals in this version of the game, are actual compounds, which is kind of interesting. You've got cast iron, which is iron and carbon. There's one that explosion. If you get sodium and hydrogen and oxygen together, it's not good. There's the goggles and the lab coat. Yeah, I think laughing gas. Nitrous oxide right here. I mean, this is the most straightforward. Maybe, I guess Math Flux maybe ties it. But even more so, this seems like the most grounded set of goals for a Flux game. And in fact, I think you can certainly use this in chemistry class. That was the intent, I'm sure. But it really fits with this particular set. And of course, every set has a little bit of a wacky rule. This one has the helium effect. If you have helium in front of you, you have to start talking in a high-pitched voice, or else you take some sort of penalty. If you fail, you must give the helium to another player.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Locate the helium and play it. So if you play the rule, you have to search for a helium card, and then you get it.
I mean, again, here's the cliche of the review. If you don't like Flux, this isn't going to change things. But if you're looking for a fun game to play in a chemistry class, this one really fits the bill because these are real compounds. You can actually learn something from playing this version of Flux. Of the two educational versions, I think I still prefer Math Flux. As you said, Tom, there's a certain amount of difference in the rules. There's a malleability. There's more combinatorics that go into getting your goals together in Math Flux. But still, there's some solid knowledge in this box, and I think it should stick around just as an educational product. That's Chemistry Flux.
All right. What would you rate this out of 10?
I mean, I think fluxes are 5s. They sort of sit there. Maybe math goes up to a 6, or if there's a particular subject you like. I'm hotly anticipating a Doctor Who Flux in the near future, so that may be 6. But I mean, it's still mechanically, it's a love it or hate it sort of game, but it has certainly seen playtime and mileage in my family.
All right. So for me, hang on one second. I got to figure out how to do this better. Still getting the hang of some things here. Okay. So for me, I'm going to start with a game not a big fan of. But before I show the game, it's not necessarily because of the theme. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's because I know this theme has a lot of fans. And that is Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Card Game. Now, here's the deal. I've never read Scott Pilgrim. I've only watched the movie, and I'm not judging the comic based on the movie. I was kind of ambivalent about the movie. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was great. I just thought it was there. It was very weird. The comic I've never read, but if the comic is like the cards in this game, and I played with someone who likes Scott Pilgrim, and he said this was very thematic, then I can assure you I would hate it. And I like comics, but I don't get this at all. It just seems it's something I don't get. But I don't think the theme is what I hate about the game, even though it doesn't make me like the game, right? I'm playing this character, and you're fighting these battles, which, like, I had to fight my parents' approval, and then a big ex-boyfriend. It was very confusing. I know, I don't get it. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. But I think the game is a deck building game. And the problem is that they took this deck building game and they just made it too complex. All the cards are double-sided. Mm-hmm. That's a problem in and of itself. You're shuffling these cards, and it doesn't matter which side they are, but it really does. It's such a mess. And on the one side, on your turn, you draw cards from your deck in your hand, and you flip them all to one side, which is the buying side or whatever. And then there's 4 different currencies, which is another problem. You buy cards on the table or not, and you then, like any other deck builder, then if you want to, you can fight. You discard all those cards, draw 5 more cards, flip them to the other side, and use those to fight something. But if you fight something, then the next person draws cards, and if they draw drama, that makes it harder for you, which is just a random thing. But then they don't necessarily lose those cards. There's like way too many rules for this game. I mean, if someone like Scott Pilgrim, they like video games. I know enough about it that it's video game themed.
Okay.
I don't see how this game, like when you're fighting someone, you're making combos, but the game itself just is too convoluted. It was like, oh, what am I doing? And each turn before you start your turn, there's these 2 decks in the middle, and you can see the top card of each deck. You can take one or both of those cards and throw it out of the game. Should I? I don't know. The cards are wildly ranged in price and what they do, and it just felt like a mess. I guess if you like Scott Pilgrim, you can get so much into the theme, but blah, 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 I just wasn't a big fan of it. So, no.
So you're worried about it. It's like a mismatch between the original audience, who might not be deck building aficionados, and it not really fitting with the product itself.
Maybe, but I think from a person who doesn't know anything about the theme, I don't think the game is that good. It's another deck building game that's really convoluted. And I like Renegade stuff for the most part. I mean, their games are really amazing, but this one isn't doing it for me at all.
How does this compare to like Flip City? That has double-sided cards as well.
Yeah, but Flip City is very, very simple. You have the cards on one side. You're not flipping them back and forth the whole time. You are literally using both sides of all your cards. Oh. And I just find that to be a pain.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to say no on Scott Pilgrim. Sorry. And the person I played with who was a fan of it was saying, I think it's not so bad, but I knew it was because he likes the theme.
Okay.
All right, what do you got? Give me something to cleanse that from my palate.
All right, I was really impressed with this game. This is a new one from Osprey Games called Star Cartel.
Oh, Z just reviewed that today, I think, or something.
Well, I'll review it right now. It's a space-based, really a stock game. The story is that you are working for a Star Cartel, and you are smuggling various types of goods on your ship. And what you do after you deliver your goods is you take some of them. You've got this sort of market board, and there's 5 different types of goods, 5 different suits, basically. And they have varying prices that are going to go up and down throughout the course of the game. And you have ships. Hello. And they have different sizes. In fact, they go in progression. You start out with a 7-size ship, and you're going to work your way up to something rather large by the end of the game. I think it's it's a 16. Is it 16 that's the biggest? No, there's
22.
Still a big one. It's 22. There's a bigger one in here that
I just made that number up, Eric.
Did you? It's larger than 16. There's a 17 here. There we go. There's a big ship that's bigger than that, but it's the final ship of the game. Anyway, as you make deliveries, you will get larger and larger ships as the game progresses.
Just so you know, the folks watching are saying your lower third is blocking some of the stuff you're showing.
There we go. A little higher. So you've got these ships, and I have to note that these ships, in addition to being all different designs, each one is unique. They all have specific names, and they all have specific backstories. So while you're waiting for your turn, you can read your story about how your ship came to be, and they're actually quite clever and entertaining. So for theme, they get a thumbs up on that. The goods range from 1 to 4 on these cards. So you've got a nice goods card, and it's got a number on it. And these are laid out in a grid, like a three rows of 4. And you will collect 1 or 2 of those cards on your turn, as long as you still have room in your ship. And if your ship is full, or you weren't able to collect any cards on your turn, you will then deliver. Then comes the tricky part, because whatever you have the most of numerically, whatever the highest total is, you sort of group your cards by type. And the biggest set gets delivered, and the price goes up by 2. The lowest number of set you have, that goes away too, and the price goes down 1 on that. Of anything that's left over, you get to keep 1 set, and that goes into your stash. So while you are manipulating the price of 2 goods every time you deliver, they are not the ones you're keeping. So you have to do this sort of long-term plan of, I'm going to take this stuff and know I have 2 or 3 cards of this type in my stash, and now I'm going to manipulate. Or now I'm going to manipulate knowing I will try and get those things later. Plus, there's this mechanism that if the price gets too high, if it goes past 9, it drops to 0. It crashes, or to 1, not 0. And so then you have to work it back up again if you're invested in that particular type. There's a lot of levers to push in this game. And while it's small, it's quick, it certainly doesn't overstay its welcome. There's a lot to do here and a lot of subtlety to explore. So I was very impressed, delighted even, with Star Cartel from Osprey Games.
All right, well, good. We're talking about good games now. I'm going to talk about this one here. This is Word Domination.
Ooh, I've heard about this.
Well, when you look at this box, who do you think made and designed this game?
Well, I know there is a thematic, and I guess I'd say there's a relationship to Fowler's games there. It's the same artist.
Yeah, not only is there a relationship with the artist, but it's like he's like, hey, I'm going to follow Tim Fowler's idea of making a really fun game and putting it in a box that you have to play a puzzle in just to get everything back inside. Stop doing that, publishers. I know people don't like boxes of air. I get that. But there is another extreme. And that's this whole, like, I mean, literally, you put this here and, ooh, that was fun. You could see that the pieces are about to all fall out of here. Come on. Tired of doing this. Okay, so this is what this game is. This is a area control word game. So in the middle of the table, you're going to have a bunch of tiles. They look like this. They're, different letters. You're going to have them out in a grid. And on your turn, you're going to have a tile in front of you. So let's say C's in front of me. I need to make a word with C in it. And so I'm going to, use any letters that are out on the table. They don't have to be next to each other or anything. So I put C next to the grid somewhere, and I make a word. I have to find all the letters on the table of that word. So let's say I say, I don't know, cuckoo. So I find all the letters for cuckoo, and I put one of my tokens on each letter. Then it's the next player's turn. They do the same thing, but when they place tokens on a word I already have tokens, on letters I already have tokens on, my tokens come off. When it gets back to my turn, if I make another word, I draw another letter and do the same thing. Any letter that I put a token on that I already had a token on is now mine. I've stolen it. Ha, ha, ha. That letter comes to me, and it goes behind my thing in stolen letters. And then I just put this, I flip another tile over and put my token on it to show that I control that part of the grid. At the end of the game, you get a point for every tile that you've stolen. And if you have groups of tiles on the board that you have next to each other, you get points for that group too. Some of the tiles, let's see if I can find one here, are a different color, like this one, K. These let you do special abilities when you use them, which are listed on your character card. The characters look like James Bond type villains. And so you can see on the other side, it tells you what they do. So K here, I can't read it because I'm Krypton Blaster. Add a tile to an opponent's hand, which means next turn they have 2 tiles. They have to use both of those in the word, which makes it that higher. You can also play with special abilities, but I wasn't very impressed with those. The game's interesting. It's definitely rewards a large vocabulary since you have to use every letter on the board. It reminds me a little bit of an older game called Loot, where you're claiming things and then you're hoping no one else takes it by the time it comes back around. Now, this can lead to the problem in a game where it's like, I took off some of Tom's letters, Eric, and now it's your turn. So now you need to take those off, or he's going to score those points, and then he is supposed to hit Suzanne, and Suzanne then hits Mandy, and Mandy hits Eric. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it might be best as a 2-player game for that reason, because obviously you're going to go for the one person who's after, you're going after. But I like the idea of the game. I like mixing word games with others. It's not as good as paperback. Not that that's necessarily, I mean, they're going to be compared because of the artwork and all that jazz.
Right.
Because paperback is like half game and half making words. The game is there, and I worked hard at making groups and stuff at the table. But still, if you know bigger words than other people, you're going to do well. It even has shades of what's that game with where you're pulling letters back and forth? Word.
Yep, Word on the Street.
Word on the Street has a bit of that, right? It's like a tug of war for these letters. So it's interesting for sure. I'm not sold on the special abilities because they can be really brutal. Going first is a huge advantage. I think that on the first turn, all special abilities should not count. Because, like, let's say in the first turn, you got that thing that said give someone a tile. You've already put that person at a disadvantage on their first turn. So pretty good, though. I thought it was a good idea. Just no. I'm not even trying to put this back in the box right now. That's nonsense.
It takes 2 hands and no cords in the way. Yeah, I get it.
I could build a house out of these. They're like bricks. That's Word Domination. Woo.
All right, so here's my big visual presentation for the night. This is called Bonk. This is from the same folks that
Bonk to the video. Come on, Eric.
I did. Because it's
size limit on these things.
Look at this. Okay, so Bonk is from the same folks that brought us Clask, and it's another one of these giant tabletop, trying for heirloom quality sort of game. And this is very similar to Crossfire, except it's a little more elegant, I guess. You've got
keeps your finger doesn't hurt as much.
That is very true, and it doesn't have the same sort of trigger mechanism. So you've got a wooden ball, and that goes in the center of the board like this, and then you've got a bunch of metal balls, and they go down these little slides. There's 4 of them positioned in the corners of the board, and you're trying to get it into the goal of your opponent. And so you're sliding these marbles along, but you're not allowed to grab marbles from the other side of the board. So once you use marbles, all of them from your side of the board, then you're out of ammo until your opponents send you stuff. If there's a score, you sort of reset, but if you're out of marbles, you only get 1 marble back. So you really have to be very careful with your ammunition as you try and score. Which is all well and good. I enjoyed it like that. I tried playing with the kids. They weren't quite as coordinated as I think you need to be to play this game. You have to really work together with a partner. It could be played 2-player, but then you're controlling 2 of these little slider things. What I did not enjoy was an optional rule in the rule book that said that if you manage to get rid of all of your marbles and yell out something, you exclaim something, then you get a point, which my kids loved because they were really good at aiming at nothing and shooting all their marbles at me, which runs counter to the whole point of the game, being conservative with your ammunition.
That's why it's an optional rule.
Well, I would like to not have that option, and my children want to do that option all the time.
Did you tell them about this option?
Well, I did. Actually, my son looked at the rule book too, and he's like, "Dad, we're going to play with this rule now." And no.
Life is better before your kids can read.
Anyway, so Bonk, it's nice. It's well put together. It's this sort of curved board, so there's some slope to the whole thing. It's interesting. It will look lovely on a coffee table, but if you have to put it next to Clask, which is amazing, this doesn't quite stand up. I enjoyed it.
Really?
I didn't like it as much. I thought Clask was amazing. I want to play Clask all the time. This one, I have a little more trouble saying, yeah, all right, I'll play around with this. But for a convention space, for putting out during a family game day, just as a sit down and play a quick round sort of thing, it's great. It works very well for that.
This was at Dice Tower Con.
It was. I saw it in the corner.
But it wasn't called Bonk. It was Roll It. Bonk is the picked up version that's now a Target exclusive or something to that effect.
I believe that's the case.
Did you get it at Target?
They actually sent me a copy of this one, but I did see it at Target right next to Clask.
All right. Well, we saved the best for last.
The best. I'm excited. Oh! Okay. Tell me more.
Okay, so first of all, folks, I'm going to talk a little bit about Charterstone here. Now, I don't plan to spoil the game at all, but I'm going to talk about how the game plays, and I'll show some like beginning stuff. This doesn't spoil it. This is like stuff you learn like 3 minutes into the game. But if you feel like that's spoiling the game, then you probably want to just wait 10 minutes or skip ahead 10 minutes. So just giving you a heads up on that.
Okay.
Charterstone is a game from Jamie Stegmaier. I want to explain where it is. This is a legacy game. It is a worker placement legacy game that is 12 games long. And then when 12 games long is finished, you can keep playing, supposedly. At this point in time, we are 8 games in it. Now, we posted today our first impressions. I believe we had played 3 or 4 games at that point in time. And that was last week. And at this point in time, we thought we would be done. 2 things stopped us. One of our players, Derek, his wife went to the hospital. And she's been in and out of hospital pretty much all week. So we just could not get that done. And 2, we got Pandemic Legacy Season 2. So I know, first world problems. We have 2 legacy games, and there's only so much time. Eric feels sorry for me right now.
Sometimes, Tom, you're infuriating. Just putting that out there.
All that being said, Eric, though, really there is something about these legacy games, right? Because you have to have the same group to play them. Now, Charterstone has ways to go in and out. So again, I'm going to talk a little bit about Charterstone. Now, what they did with Charterstone is the board is double-sided. So you can, when you're finished with it, you can buy a recharge pack and play it again.
Whoa.
If you want to. Okay? The recharge pack is not nearly as expensive. So I'm about to show you the non-used side of the board. Okay? So there are no spoilers here. If you open it up, this is what you get. All right? So you see in the middle, there's some buildings. You see some places there that need to be named. And each player is going to have like a place that they're going to have on the board. Each player is going to get a box. I'm showing you currently a box for a player that's not in our game. There's 6 possible players. We're playing with 4 players. So this is a box. You keep all your stuff in this box. On the back here, you're going to be marking glory for different things. And the thing, this tells you how many things you can keep from game to game. This tells you how many times you've won. And then inside the box are some pieces that you have, and I can't show you everything in this box, but things that you have to use in the game. You're going to have a couple workers, and you're going to place those workers on buildings. The buildings are going to give you various resources. So there's 2 other boxes. There's this scriptorium box. In this box is mostly the components for the game. Now, mine have been upgraded. You can see the bricks and the wood and things like that, and coins. Again, not spoil.
What is that? What is that mounted on?
It's on the corner of my desk, okay?
Okay.
There's, again, I told you, problems with the kids.
Gotcha.
There's coins and stuff. Those are all upgraded. And what else can I show you? Oh, there's this die here. This is all stuff that you get at the very beginning of the game. This is for the different charters. Each person's going to have a charter. And there's lots of other pieces in here, but some of those were unlocked during the course of the game. So you're going to place workers on the board, you get resources, and you'll trade those resources in to build buildings and stuff. But the buildings are stickers on cards, and you'll place those in your region, and you're building your region up with different buildings that you can use. Those cards come from this index here. And this index has everything. The rule book is almost empty when you first get it. And I'm not going to show you the rule book, but you go through this one card at a time, this index. Now, we have a lot of cards in this index that are still have to be going through. Not too many cards left, but there's still a good chunk of cards in here. Some of these cards that are in this thing right now are cards that I'm storing in here to keep the whole thing from falling over. There's also a few boxes like this in the game. What's in those boxes? You'll find out. But when you put a sticker on the board off of the card still stays in the game. And in the corner of the card, and this is in the corner of the card, is a number. Can you see that number, that 30?
I can.
Okay.
It's a 30.
Right. Well, there's a lot of these in the game.
It's a really nice 30.
One of the actions that you can do if you get money and resources and things like that is you can open one of those crates. That's the whole point of the game. You'll then look at some chart here, and it says if you open crate 30, find these numbered cards, and you search through here, find those numbered cards, and they're in the game. Sometimes they bring a whole new mechanism. Sometimes they add new stickers to the game. Sometimes they often bring in new buildings and things like that. So you are getting resources by placing workers. So it's the kind of game where you place your workers, you place a worker and do it, or you pull all your workers. So turns are really fast. I mean, lightning fast. Place a worker, take the action, next turn. Place a worker, take the action, pull your workers. And you just keep doing that. If someone places a worker where you have a worker, you get that worker back. So I really like worker placement games like that. And then you're trying to do various things that will get you victory points. Like when you build a building on the board, it's victory points. When you open up one of those crates, it's victory points. There's different goals that you can go for that give you victory points. And there are other ways to get victory points that will be unlocked over the course of the game. The game is very distinct, linear path. The story is not that strong. There's a story in the game, but it's more about the mechanisms of the game. Now, because we don't have the full review up yet, I wanted to kind of give my thoughts at where we are right now, 8 games in. We have 4 games left, and I still really like the game. Z loves the game. Sam is cooler on it than us. No one dislikes it. I'm in the middle. I'm like, right now, it's like a 7, 7.5, maybe an 8 for me, somewhere in that time frame. My worry is this. I'm thinking I'm having this great time building this world. I think when we're done, it's not going to be as interesting as to play afterwards, because one of the things I'm having fun for me personally is putting new buildings on the board and opening these crates and seeing what's in them. And, oh, there's this cool new mechanism. And, ooh, there's this and that. And I think when all that's done, the game that's there will be a good 7 out of 10 game. And that's it.
Gotcha.
Now, that's again, not a bad thing. I'm not upset about that at all. I think that that's fun to play through and all, but I think then I will be done playing. I don't think I'm going to want to play anymore unless I buy the recharge pack and say, let's do it all again. That I don't mind. You're not going to not find most of the stuff in the game. Now, the end board is going to be different for every player. There's a few, oh, that was interesting, some few things, but it's not like the twists in Pandemic Legacy where you're like, what? There's nothing like that in this game, I think. There's a few things I was like, oh, that's interesting. And there's one, I thought, cheesy thing in the game, but but the artwork is done by the same people who did Santorini, the artwork for that. And I really like it. I really like how the board looks. Like I said, it's really solid, and I like how fast each game is, about an hour, maybe a little bit more than an hour. Again, we're playing with 4 players. And the games are not really being that divergent, though. We are pretty much playing the same way. I always play the same strategy, which is open boxes, put stickers down and do things like that. And I've modified that slightly with the stuff that's come out. And I really do like how I'm improving from game to game. I feel like when I'm going into game 9, I have way more cooler things and stuff to do than I did in game 1. I'm curious what will happen once we reach game 12, how it's going to resolve. I have my suspicions about where the story is heading. The story is very linear, but at the end of each a chapter, they sometimes give you the kind of like a binary choice, which unlocks different things depending on what you choose. So each game is going to be different based on that too. I feel like we're making the right choices, but I might be wrong. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Because we did lose Pandemic Legacy Season 2 badly.
All right.
That's a kind of a spoiler. Our full review of Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is going out next week. Short thing is, love it. Also, we got beat down. But Charterstone is, people are going to say, which one do you like better? Pandemic Legacy 2. It's not even close. But that's because I like the legacy part so very much. And the legacy part is here, but the game, this is a really good game. Although so is Pandemic Legacy 2. So Pandemic Legacy 2 is a good game and an amazing story. An amazing story. This is a really good game. Story's okay. It's not like gripping me. I'm not like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next in the story. I'm thinking, oh, okay, how am I going to get the victory points this round? Again, not bad. Okay. Stonemaier Games does not know how to make a bad game. Their games are quite good. But that's just where this one is. Let me see. I haven't been looking at chat here. Are there any questions about Charterstone? Again, the reason I'm talking about now is our review is going to be vastly delayed because we simply don't have time to get it finished before the end of this week. Next week, we're at Essen. When we come back, we will finish Charterstone and post it. And by that time, everyone will, because it will be out all over the place.
Gotcha.
Also, I think there was 11 reviews went up today. So
yeah, there was an embargo until today. And so,
right. So there's lots of things. You can go find out what other people think of it. In short, if I guessed, right now my rating, like I said, 7, Z 8, Sam 6. I think that's where we're at. But again, that could change by the time we get to game 12. And none of us are not enjoying the experience. Even if we get to the end and I was like, no, it was a 7, 7.58. I played 12 games of this thing. That's really good. And the component quality, the artwork, stunning, solid game, no holes in it. Very, very good. All right. Blah, 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 blah.
Interesting.
Would you play Charterstone with just 2? I would not. There's an automa thing in there where you can make. We're playing with the 2 charters that we're not playing, just as kind of just being there, and that works fine. There is rules where you can make them kind of play along with you. I'm not really interested in that. I think that would lengthen the game a little bit. If I was playing with 2, you would have to do that, and I'm not as keen on that. I think 4 is a really good number for the game, although I think 6 would not be awful. And all right, well, that's that for Charterstone.
All right.
So now we're talking about how we prep for a convention. So we prep for conventions slightly differently because we do them as going to them as reporters, or we have a booth and stuff. But Eric, when do you start prepping for a convention?
Usually I can't totally focus on the con experience until about a week ahead. Sometimes it's even less than that if I'm super busy with various books. Like my little graphic says that I have one more book to finish before Essen. So I can't really wholly commit to focusing on the convention until I'm done with the day job. So maybe about a week out, I start thinking about what I need to bring, making a list of stuff to pack, and making sure I get all my ducks in a row for keeping things running at home while I'm away.
So the basic stuff that we bring to conventions is kind of obvious. Obviously, we bring clothes. I actually always bring one extra set than I need just in case.
Good idea.
And I always bring a couple extra hats. That's probably just for me.
Yes.
Other than that, for me, it's always, do I have my clothes? Yes, I needed my clothes, right? Then after that, it's all about electronics. Did I bring my chargers? One thing I found that's really helpful at conventions is I always bring a power strip with me. A power strip that has USB plugs in it anyway, because the really convenient thing about that is I can then charge all my devices from that device, because it never seems like there's enough plugs in a hotel room.
That's very true. Some hotel rooms, they're just full of plugs, and then others, there's one in the corner that you have to like lean over the couch to get to. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I always make sure I've got my chargers with me. I've got one of those, double strips, double chargers that can charge both my phone and my tablet, stuff like that. It's always good to make sure that you have that. And an external battery is pretty useful, or a case that can run your phone is very helpful. Now I've got a case on my phone now that can double charge it, which is very helpful for a long day at a convention.
By the way, shout out to Otter Kramer, who gave us a super chat. He says, "See you in Essen," and I look forward to that. So Eric, here I have a checklist that I make for the Dice Tower. So I thought I would just read the things on my checklist, and this is what I make sure that we have at conventions. So
okay,
the first one, and this is the one that if you're coming with a convention, documents. Do you have your passport?
Yes.
Do you have your passport? Do you have your passport? Do you have your passport? Yeah, I figure if you have your passport, your wallet, and your phone, you can forget everything else.
Yes.
All right. Everything else can be fixed. Those three cannot. Then cash. Right now, this is probably bad if you're planning to rob my house. I have this bag here of cash. This is European cash.
Okay.
Probably not very much for those of you planning to come steal it. But if we're going to have a booth, we need some small bills to get back to people. But it's good to have cash. You never know. Credit cards are used everywhere, but when you're traveling, cash can be so handy.
Yeah. It's good to have a little bit at least.
Then I have camera A power cord, camera B power cord, camera C power cord. That's for our cameras. We don't bring them everywhere, but extension cords, power strips, laptop power cord. I always have to remember power cords for everything because it's really frustrating when you bring something and you forget the cord for it. iPad, iPhone, charging cord and plug. Ribbons. We have Dice Tower ribbons. We bring those to some conventions. Promo boxes. We have boxes that we put our promos in. Small signs, large sign, tablecloths, our tripods, medicine. This is something that I always think of too. It seems like someone always has a headache or something. Ever since I got sick at a convention, I'm always bringing NyQuil and some form of Tylenol or something to that, some painkiller.
Yeah. Because
you will find these at the hotel stores and things like that, and they will ask for one of your children in exchange. Yeah. So it just... Someone always seems to have a headache. And I also bring vitamins. And I know some people say it's a placebo effect. I don't take vitamins normally, but I take vitamins when we travel. Whiteboards and markers. Batteries, our battery charger. Tickets. We have tickets for a lot of things. Here's the, these are the tickets for our Essen show, which is at 4 p.m. on Friday. If you come to the booth Friday morning, we'll have tickets for you to grab. And also you can raffle for our raffle. Games. You think I wouldn't have to put that on a list, but I do because sometimes I forget.
Yeah, I actually went to Falcon this past weekend, which was one of the local conventions in Stamford, Connecticut, and I was running several events, so I had packed all of those games. But then I realized as I was driving away that I didn't pack anything new for me to play. I didn't bring any new games, anything just for fun that wasn't a scheduled event. Everything was already packed and scheduled, and all the stuff I had to bring was there, but nothing that I didn't have to bring, which was a little disappointing.
I also put on here business cards. It's useful to bring business cards to a convention. If you're networking, then streaming stuff, microphones, Square Reader. That's if people want to buy stuff from us.
Are we doing that in Essen, or are we doing cash only?
I think we're doing cash only. I'm not sure. Just assume we will be, because I don't know how the logistics of that's using a credit card overseas will work and stuff. I don't know.
I know it. Sometimes they can put a hold on your account, and who knows. It gets hairy if you try and use a U.S. Square system overseas.
So just assume no.
Yeah.
Signing markers. Just some people ask for stuff to be signed. That sounds so egotistical, but I don't mean it to be that way, but people often ask, can you write on this? And then like, oh, well, we have these markers here.
Right.
Hand sanitizer. I always try to
Yes.
bring hand sanitizer. It's a useful thing to bring. Tape. Tape covers a multitude of things at a booth. Tools I put on there because we always seem to forget bringing knives to cut things, box cutters, and we always regret it. And this year I bought box cutters that cost, I think I got 3 for $5.
And you could tell.
That will never happen again because I heard enough about that one. What else I put on here? Lights. Why did I put lights? Lights. What? What lights? Oh, that's it. Okay, some conventions we need the overhead lights. These the box lights for like gamma and stuff.
Yes.
Dongles, because we have a Mac. You need to make sure you have your dongles so everything connects to it. Notebooks. I love my notebooks. I bring notebooks to different things. And a steamer. This is a new one for the list.
Yes.
We brought the steamer to Gen Con, and it was fantastic. And I don't think we're going to bring the steamer to Essen because one of the big things about going overseas is this whole transformer and blowing things out.
Yes.
Computers are usually fine because a computer has like
a power brick. They already have a transformer.
Transformer, right, built into them. And many other devices have that built into them also. But a steamer probably won't. But anyway, a steamer is a great thing to bring to convention for those tablecloths. They get so wrinkled and everything. And a steamer, we tried it this year at Gen Con, and it worked great.
So, Tom, have you washed the tablecloths recently?
No, why?
I'm just, they gotten a little beat up over the past couple conventions.
They did. The problem with the tablecloths is they can't be washed. They have to be dry cleaned. If you wash them, that writing stuff comes off. It's unfortunate. But we're not bringing the tablecloths to Essen anyway for weight purposes.
Right. Also,
my checklist, I have things to do. Check your phone and your credit cards. I usually talk to my bank before I travel, even in America, and say I'm going to be traveling, and so I'm going to be using my card, just so you know that's going to be happening.
Right.
And my phone to make sure if I go overseas that the phone will work. Then I make sure I clear my credit cards so that in emergencies, I can put stuff on them if I have to. I have to make my schedule, which that's been done, empty the memory cards on the phones, and charge all the batteries. That's what I do. Do you have a checklist, Eric?
I do. I actually have. I end up making it every time, though. I should really have the one that I do use every time. But I just remembered the credit card thing that I need to call my my company so they know I'm traveling. It's usually a pretty simple thing. It's even an automated system where you say, yes, I'm going to be in Germany and I will be here from this date to this date. But it's something that needs to happen so things don't get frozen. But yes, I make the list. I always make sure that I have all of my audio equipment. Although we've sort of haven't used the same equipment that we've used many years in the last few because Derek has been able to record things off of the main microphone feed. But it's always good to bring my portable recorders so that I can record whatever event we're doing, and it always acts as a good backup in case, say, the microphones in Essen are some wacky presentation microphone that, gets turned on and off every time somebody talks.
No kidding.
Or, maybe somebody's unpacking a box while you're talking. What are you doing?
I want to show you a new thing we have. So we have 2 new things that we're going to be testing at Essen. We didn't want to bring our big cameras to Essen because they're very expensive. And if they get... We just can't afford to have anything happen to those cameras. So in the past, we've taken video and with our phones at conventions. I have a stabilizer now. One of our listeners got it for us. It's fantastic. So I can go around. I'm going to take like shots of all the halls, and now it won't be sickening to watch.
Okay.
But we also got this. I'm very excited about this. This is the new Samsung microphone. This is our newest thing. And this hooks up to your phone.
Okay.
So this is handy because if you've noticed, using the iPhones or the modern phones for video, their video is like amazing quality. Except the audio. But now we can attach this microphone into the camera itself and get good audio. This has like a 5-star rating on the selling sites and stuff.
Okay.
So when I went to the NAB convention earlier this year, This was one of the booths I stopped at and talked to. I'm very excited. We're actually going to get more of these. This is a handheld one, but we'll get ones with lapels as time goes by. And it's wireless too.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So we're going to be trying this out at Essen. Hopefully it works.
Yeah, it'll work for doing interviews and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. That's like a new thing. So we're always trying to do new things. Sometimes our new things kind of crash and burn. Like we did the 360 thing. Like in 2016, that was my thing. Let's try 360 videos. They didn't get a ton of buzz. They were okay. And a lot of people complained about them. I mean, even we put in the video. This is the 360 video. We said it as we did it. We put it in the description, and there were still people who said, "Why is it looking at your feet the whole time?" And I was like, "You." 360, but
why is it just the ceiling and they're like looking at it in bed?
It did take off. It did take off. And yes, this is Samson, not Samsung. Samson is a new microphone company, and this is kind of their specialty at this point in time, being able to hook these up to this microphone to hook up to phones and other things too. It can hook up to a tablet, a digital camera. I'm really pumped. I'm hoping it works. I mean, we're our test run at Essen.
Okay.
So if you're looking for stuff from Essen, we're going to be doing, we're going to be sending back pictures and tweeting and things like that. I'm going to take a walkthrough of each hall to show you what's in that hall. And so I'm kind of excited about all that. So that's it for conventions. I think that's just how we plan for them. There's a ton. For me, the schedule is always some. I have to schedule the booth. And even without the booth, Eric, you'll notice there's a lot of meetings I'm going to this time all throughout that schedule. We usually schedule our meals at them just because there's so much going on. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of organization that certainly needs to happen. Not just packing, but just knowing what you're doing. And as our contingent has grown, we're well beyond the point that we can just say, "Hey, what are we going to do for dinner tonight?" and actually be able to do something with any sort of efficiency. When it was just like 2-4 people, we could always just run off somewhere. But now we've got a team at these events, and so you really have to plan ahead for meals.
Yeah, I did like. I do miss the days where I was like, let's just eat here.
Yeah, let's just go to California Pizza Kitchen. Where are you gonna eat? I don't know. Let's just walk across the street.
I remember that we had a California. I was so tired that day.
Oh yeah. Well, that was just the two of us. It was like that was after a Gen Con.
The two. All right. Let's see here. So people are talking, don't test new things at conventions. Well, that's what we got to do. We can test it here at home, but we also want to test it at a convention.
You don't know really how it's going to work until you get it on the floor and in the field test. I guess you could always bring the old stuff too and have it as a backup. But how are you going to know how it works until you actually try it?
Yeah, so again, some people are asking where the review for Charterstone is. Again, we played 8 games. I gave you kind of my review of it. I'm really liking it. I look forward to the end. I'm not sure if it will be good at the end of it. We'll have to wait and see. But you're going to have to wait till after Essen for that full review to go up. I apologize. On the flip side, Alien Artifacts goes up tomorrow, that review. So, okay, so at this point, Eric and I have some time. Not too much, maybe 10, 15 minutes here. We will answer some questions. So go ahead and ask questions to your heart's content, and we will answer some of them. Maybe. We're excited. This is our last show we're doing. Our next show will be after Essen. We'll have all kinds of things to talk about on that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, except for the one that's actually at Essen. That's a show, too.
Well, right. If you're at Essen, Friday, 4 o'clock is a show, live show, so come by that. All right, let's see here. Is there anything better than Axis and Allies for grandiose World War II? See, I was ready to say memoir, but you said grandiose. There's lots of games that are good at the whole overall thing, but it depends how heavy you want to get. There's people who can probably answer better than me on that regard. I don't even know what I would pick because I would probably say Axis and Allies, but there's probably something better.
The only Axis and Allies I've really seen was the double blind setup they had at TotalCon a few years ago when we were there. They had 2 separate boards with a big cardboard thing in between them so that you could they couldn't see where each other was. That was kind of interesting.
Is PAX Unplugged worth it? We'll tell you after we go.
Who knows?
It's worth it. I'm excited about going, but it's really hard to think about PAX Unplugged. But it's really at the same time we come back from Essen, and then it's like, breathe, PAX Unplugged,
yeah,
Thanksgiving, cruise, Christmas. Dice Tower Kickstarter. Ha 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 ha. We're like, what? And somewhere in there, review every game made for man.
Right, because Essen.
Yeah. What's my list? I'm using a tabletop together. Let's see. Tabletop. You can make your list on Board Game Geek now, but Tabletop Together still lets you print it out by haul, which is still, I think, the best way to do it. So let me pull in Tabletop Together.
Is that on your checklist? Do you have that list, that binder in your packing list, Tom?
Yeah, well, the binder's right here. See, Dice Tower, Essen, Spiel. Right now it's empty. I got all these plastic sheets ready to put things, but I have on Board Game Geek, someone made up all the maps and they put the words in them instead of just the numbers.
Oh, nice.
So I printed out 6 of these, Eric, so you can get one there. All right,
Thank you.
That's a very useful thing to have. So right now on my Spiel games I'm considering, let's see, print, sort it by Hall and Booth. And on my list, oh, I need to sort just the ones that I want on here because there's 1,000 games on the list. But I want to say,
yep.
Let me filter this by like, want, and need. $343. That's so ridiculous.
That's still a lot.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's some of the games I'm getting in. All right, let's see what else we got. Someone wants Eric to say how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A woodchuck would chuck all the wood it could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
How often will the Pandemic Legacy playthrough videos go up? Well, I'm waiting. They're going to announce the release date soon. And once Pandemic Legacy 2 is released, we will put them up fairly quickly after that. I don't know when. They're all recorded. They're done. It took us 16 games. We won 10 times. We lost 6.
I see.
Do you bother to convert the foreign cash to U.S. after a convention, or do you just spend it on games there? Oh my goodness, no. We convert it back to US. No. It's like, oh, I got a couple hundred extra euros. Let's just buy more games. Actually, the amount of money we spend for shipping back is considerable.
I mean, I usually have some bills and some change left over that just goes in the safe until the next year's Essen. So I have a little bit of cash when I hit the ground in Germany.
That is not a bad idea.
I mean, I try. I don't collect a lot of cash. I try not to take out too much more than I need. I'll just store it. I won't bother to change it over though.
Is next year's con schedule going to be the same as 2017? Unknown. All we can do is tell you for sure we're going to Gen Con. We're going to Dice Tower Con.
Okay.
Those are the two we know for sure. There is a third con that I'm going to, probably. I will be announcing that tomorrow or the next day, one of those 2 days.
Okay.
So you'll see. But it's interesting.
Okay.
It's a European convention, actually.
Huh.
We are likely going to Gamma, Origins, Dice Tower Cruise. The reason I'm saying likely Dice Tower Cruise is because there's a possibility Dice Tower Cruise will happen in January or February of 19. We're not sure. It's going to happen at winter. December's a hard month for some people to get to, so we're just considering it. We're not saying we're moving it. We're just considering it. That's all. But anyway, Dice Tower Cruise. What else will we likely go to? UK Games Expo. There's a chance we'll be at Grand Con again. Gathering Your Friends, which that's a private one, but we'll go up to Snakes and Lattes again while we're there. Other than that, we don't know. I'd like to go. We're going to see what PAX Unplugged and how much we like it to see if we're going to keep going back. But we'll see.
Yeah. In theory, PAX Unplugged and Board Game Geek Con should be separate again. I don't know if they've announced officially that that's the case, but I think that's the idea.
Yeah, but even if they are, I'm only going to go to one. I can't go to this
Yeah.
back-to-back convention stuff is
It is
really tough.
It's a lot.
How bad did you find the rule book for Alien Artifacts? It's quite good. And I'm not, that's not a joke. No, it's a good rule book.
Huh.
Why does the 1, 5, and 10-year look back video not include games from 10 years ago? If it doesn't have games from 10 years ago, that means the week I did that, there wasn't any reviews I did 10 years ago. That's all. Back 10 years ago, I wasn't reviewing 13 games every week because I had a job. Tom, are you aware of the tick where you use the back of your right hand to scratch your right lower chin? You do it a lot. I am very aware of that. I'm just not thinking about it all the time. What are our ticks? I know I rub my nose. My wife says whenever I public speak, I rub my nose.
Huh.
I used to push my glasses up all the time, but that's now gone. Any questions for Eric? When do Dice Tower Con tickets go on sale?
November.
He knew it.
I thought, well, that was the question for me, right?
Eric, is your tagline a purposeful reference to a Muppet Christmas song?
No, but it is pretty close. Just one more book till Essen. Well, now it's in my head. Thank you.
You like that thing.
Oh, I love Muppet Christmas Carol.
For some reason, that's your favorite Muppet thing. When it's clearly The Great Muppet Caper is the best movie.
I think Muppet Caper. Actually, Muppets Take Manhattan, I think, is my favorite of the classics.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's a really good one.
But Christmas Carol of the new generation, the post Jim Henson years, that's my favorite.
I look at the Muppets like having there's the original Muppet movies, all those, the classics. Then there's the ones that came out in the 90s and stuff. Right. And now I'm looking at the two new ones as a new thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Those are separate.
The second Muppet movie did not get as rave reviews as the first one. But as time has gone by, I like it better than the first one.
You're talking Muppets Most Wanted?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think part of that is because I liked Tina Fey and Ricky Gervais. I really liked them in that movie.
Yep.
The humans did well, I think.
Sure. I mean, I loved The Muppets. That was a terrific film. But yeah, Muppets Most Wanted sort of got overlooked. I love we're doing a sequel. That's such a great opening number.
That's on my playlist, my Spotify playlist, which no one in the world would agree with, but I really like all the songs on it. I don't put all the Muppet songs on. I'm trying to think what Muppet songs are on my. I have like my favorite playlist, right? So we're doing a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I have the second "Life's a Happy" song because I like that better than the first one.
Okay, the finale.
The finale, mostly because I like the one line where the guy just says, "We've already sung this song." I have Moving Right Along, Happiness Hotel.
Okay.
And the rock one.
From the Muppet movie.
Yes.
Mayhem does. Can you picture?
Can you picture that? Oh, and the finale for one of the movies. I don't remember which one. Anyhow, I like Muppet songs a lot. Although I actually took Mana Mana off my things because I'm sick of it. It's overplayed. I've heard it way too many times.
Yeah, you could always go for the classic Sesame Street version just to mix it up.
I have a couple Sesame Street. I have some Bob. People are like, "Stop talking about this. Talk about games." But I have a lot of Bob McGrath stuff. I really like his voice.
Yes.
Let's see here. Looking at some questions. Can you share your tabletop together list? Can you? Oh, it says share. What does that mean?
I imagine that's how you share it.
You can share a link with your friends. Oh, that's interesting.
I'm sure everybody watching is your friend.
Well, here's the thing. I got it. I'm on two different computers here, so I'm gonna have to pull it up on this one. Hang on a second. I'll get to it in a second. There's a couple things though about this list. I put on every game that I'm even a little bit remotely interested in. I didn't put on games that we already have. So there's a lot of really good games that aren't on this list because I already have them or I know that I'm going to be getting them.
You don't
right.
have to track these down at Essen. I mean, this is a functional list for you to hit at the fair.
All right, so I copied this, but I don't think I could put a link in the comments of a YouTube thing. Let me see here. I'll
You could always
try.
tweet it.
It's going to say no.
You do have the Twitters.
Well, no, it did let me put a link in. Well, there you go.
All right.
All right. Am I a fan of Avenue Q? I'm not.
Oh, I love Avenue Q.
Eh,
I worked with a couple of people in the original cast of Avenue Q. I worked with on a production called Cinderelmo, so that was really neat to see them on stage. Pretty cool.
it's really tomorrow. We're taking a vacation briefly. Like not I said tomorrow, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
We're going to take a day off because even though it seems like, oh, you're going to Essen, Essen is the hardest convention we do.
It
over
is
the course of the year.
as grueling, probably more so than Gen Con too, because you're already jet lagged. It is a longer day. Yeah, it's a lot.
So let me be clear here. One of the things that makes Essen exhausting is the fact that we get stopped and talked to by people all day long, every day. But that's okay. I know what I'm going there for. Please do not hesitate to stop me and say hi. Okay. My only caveat is if I'm carrying a pile of stuff, wait. But other than that, and that's not so much of a problem these days. We make Jason carry everything.
Right. That's why he's there.
Yeah, he really loves doing it. So it's not like we're being mean to him. He loves hunting the games down. But yes, please come by and say hi. And it's exciting because we're all going to be there. Me, Sam, Eric, Mandy, Z, Suzanne. So we posted our show just yesterday. And so if you want to know what games we're looking forward to, and that's going to change all the time. There's always new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to shut this down. We're trying to keep these around an hour or so. Maybe we'll do more, but this way we can also go see our families. And oh my, actually, I want to go test this new game I just got out.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, let me show it to you.
Oh, Drop Mix.
I figured you might be interested in this one, Eric. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of Drop Mix. Yes, I heard the game is not fantastic, but the tech is really cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm a sucker for tech. So, yeah, I know the game's probably not good, but I want to see how it works. And I think that this might be a pretty cool thing. Okay, folks. Well, we do appreciate it. The next time we'll be doing this will be after Essen, the Dice Tower tonight. We'll be recording a show at Essen. The show coming up this Tuesday is Suzanne and Mandy will be doing one. The next one will be all of us at Essen. And honestly, I don't believe I planned farther than that, Eric, have I?
No, we should probably figure that out before we leave town.
Indeed. Well, that's on my list of things to do tomorrow because I did not have enough on my list already. But that's okay. Folks, we appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Eric Summerer.
And you've been listening to or watching the Dice Tower tonight.
Thanks for watching. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. If all goes well, Tom and I will see you in 2 weeks for another installment. Our show is supported by viewers like you. Thank you. Dice Tower Tonight is produced by Tom and me with assistance from Derek Porter and Rob Searing. Our ban on David S. Pumpkins costumes at our Halloween party provided by No Hanks. Timothy Pinkham composed our theme, and hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at CoolStuffInc.com. Give us your feedback on the Dice Tower Guild at Board Game Geek, on Facebook or Twitter, or by emailing us at dicetower@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit the other shows in the Dice Tower Network. Find something new at dicetowernetwork.com. Until next time, from all of us at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming.
Whoa. Huzzah.
Huzzah,
Now,
indeed. You know,
like
I can
how
see
Thomas-
your eye roll. I can see your eye rolls when I do the puns now.
Did you
video.
write that pun?
I had help.
Well, then I'm eye rolling at the other person, not you.
All right, okay. No, I mean it's still I still feel it because you're eye rolling
just to
at
help
me.
you out, I've rolled my eyes at all of them. So
Okay,
all
that's
right.
good. I feel better.
Well, I don't normally
maybe.
hear them live. You normally record the things later.
Right. You just eye roll when you edit. I get it.
I do. All righty. That's that.